want us to go over the obvious issue of gender gap. That is in favor of men when it comes to accessing markets and financial products. I don't know if you would agree, but then if yes, how can we bridge that gender gap?
I think there's no denying that in our context, we've had many years of patriarchy. We have a system that leave women mostly disadvantaged. But I'll say sometimes it seems a lot of people are not paying attention to the wave of change. Things are changing rapidly, and maybe as I speak to the gaps that are there, it's also important to emphasize the change that we're beginning to see in that sense. Yeah, so for many years, our property ownership strategy, for example, has favored men as opposed to women. And obviously, if you are accessing traditional finance, usually they'll ask for collateral. And so, obviously, if the proportion of men actually having property ownership is higher than women, obviously there is a gap in that sense. But this is even more peculiar in rural settings, where you still have quite glaring differences in how women and men control resources. So obviously, you're leading an initiative that is actually intended to fund women, but you know for sure when the woman receives the fund, it's actually going to the husband who is going to control it. So there are these subtle gaps and disadvantages. Sometimes also you get local saving schemes, and then you see women are left massively disadvantaged. But I'll say from a development perspective, you will begin to see a wave where, in fact, now financing is shifting towards favoring women, because everyone has recognized the mismatch and the gap between the two. So for many funds out there right now, especially in the space where I work, you always get the disaggregation criteria and impact requirements. So for example, in a project, we'll require that it's a must that at least 40% of our beneficiaries must be women. And it also because when I look at the design of the project, so usually in the bank they will have what they call the PAD, the Project Appraisal Document. And I said, one of the ways I feel we can hit this target is to also have a prior structure to the mainstream cohort, which is why we're going to have this accelerator specifically for youth and women-owned enterprise. So if you're a woman, even if you're not a youth, you can qualify for this. That is recognizing the fact that most of the women have a lot of catching up to do in terms of putting together everything banking or financial system is requiring you to have in order to access finance. And so this takes me to my final point. I think we have to change. In a sense, we cannot be traditional in this context because our challenges are not traditional. If you work in a different financial space where finance is quite developed, the system is quite developed, then you can require everyone across the board to have the same requirement to access finance. But here we know for sure that even with male-owned businesses, we don't have all it takes to access certain finance. And that is why requirements of accessing finance should be contextual and tailored to the needs of the context. In a sense, in our case, we're relaxing many of the rules. For example, I've worked on many funds before. They will tell me, oh, you have to be a business that has been in existence for 5 years, you should have an audited report. But I know from practice that many of the guys who meet this criteria is because they are connected. They can pay an accountant who can cook the books for them, give them a report. So we're not going to have any of those rules. We're going to have rules that will ensure that men and women alike will have equal access to finance.
Great, that's what we're aspiring to. So, Mr. William, is the tendency being reversed?
I want to agree with Ami because I also wear another hat where I am the deputy chairman of the Nigerian Association of Microfinance Institutions. Earlier this week, we had a 2 days conference, the first microfinance conference. And I can tell you that when you look at the top 12 microfinance institutions in Sierra Leone, what we have done over the past years is that 70% of the people we finance are women. I know it will be shocking. 70% of the people we finance, we're talking about over 200 billion euros, are women. Why? We want to ask why. Partly because some of the funders of microfinance are putting the criteria that you have to finance women, 100% or some 90%. But also empirically, women are better payers than men. And this is coming from a man, you know. Women are better payers than men. So we prefer, as microfinance institutions, to finance women. So I think that is changing, really. I think it is changing. But, as Amit said, we do have situations where the men take the money away from the women. We've had a few cases in my institution where you finance the wife, and the husband takes the money away and gives to a brother to do something else. So that is...
Or even marries a second wife.
Yeah, or even marries the second wife. But I think this is where a change of mindset in terms of our local setting has to come in. But in terms of collateral also, the microfinance institutions, we don't really always go for real property. We go for movable collateral. There is now a movable collateral registry at the central bank where you can register your interest in a vehicle, or we look for business assets, maybe a generator that runs a business. So we don't really go all the time for typically what traditional banks will ask for. And even when it comes to financials, what we do, we have approaches where we build your financials for you by interviewing you, finding out what your sales are, your purchases are. We build a single entity finance account for you. We also take into consideration what you use personally, your household expenses, and then we make a decision on how much we can finance you based on your surplus, your monthly surplus, after taking into consideration your children's school fees, all of that. So we do that. So I think the narrative is changing, but I think that also, I want to give a challenge to men. Whatever you own is owned by your wife. It's not only owned by yourself. This is what I tell my wife all the time. Whatever I have is yours.
That's so beautiful. I hope that all men are going to say the same and do the same, please. Okay, so let's take a small break, last break of the afternoon.
I mean, who doesn't love a good jewelry? There is something about beads, and beads are very versatile. They can be used for whatever you want, and they are very long-lasting. We are not only producing jewelry, but we also want to bring Sierra Leone on the map in terms of tourism. We know Ghana and Nigeria, they are known for making exquisite pieces. So I was thinking, what can Sierra Leone do? We have so much to offer. And we do not only make beads, we also train young people in this art. Because we know right now there are less jobs, but then if you get a skill, you can be able to be productive for yourselves. We do not only make necklaces, we do brooches, we do key holders, we do waist beads, we do just earring. So it can suit you for whatever occasion and wherever you want to go to. And there is something special about beads. You can have this bead for over 5 years or for over 10 years, and it will never fade or it will never get black. So it could be a generational thing anyway that you can pass down to your kids and whoever you want to. Thank you.
I love that. It could be a generational thing that you can pass on.
So, coming back to the discussion, we need, I think, to clarify the issue that surrounds the difficulty that local content and local talent is having when it comes to finding funding. As compared to, let's say, internationally co-founded businesses. So what can we do about that? And also, how can we help young people, young entrepreneurs, and the financial institutions be more risk-free and be insured? Because the reality is that less than 1 out of 3 entrepreneurs are insured. So what can we do about those two issues?
So I'll say, I'll highlight 3 core issues just around this particular border issue. And for me, it's capacity, credibility, and the lack of cooperation. Capacity. So mostly we have a lot of viable locally owned businesses, viable in terms of the market opportunity and the production possibility, but it is sad to see that mostly some of these businesses don't live their full potential, right? And that is because we tend to be quite content, both in terms of how much we seek to improve our capacity, but how much more profit and more money we seek. There's no harm in wanting to get rich, because you can get rich for many reasons. You can be as rich as Dangote, or even more than Dangote, because you want to do so much more good. But here, we can be content easily. I have seen a lot of people who started very good businesses here locally. Just as they begin to gain traction, they stop learning, they stop building, they stop consolidating, and they just move on to buying big cars and living lavish lives, and before you know, the business has gone down the drain. And so, not having that desire and drive to build our capacity over time is basically limiting our growth potential, but also our potential to access funding. The second one for me is credibility. I'm not going to share names, but I've worked on a few investment funds, and I've sat on a panel for a few investment funds. Each time it pains me to see that we end up funding foreign-owned businesses. And as a judge, usually on a panel, I have to do justice. I cannot be racist or nationalistic. We have to give it to the most deserving people. But it's sad that most times it's foreign-owned businesses that meet this criteria, especially in terms of credibility. So a lot of our local companies are not credible. You give them money, they use it for the wrong reasons. And so they're not just killing their own business, they're damaging the chances of the next foreign-owned businesses. So if you go to the banks, obviously they'll prefer to loan a foreign-owned business because they trust they could pay back than give it to a local-owned business, because it's not that they won't pay back, but even when they cannot pay back, they can use politics or other influence to hamstring you, and then basically leave you with no choice to just write off. I mean, I've worked at a bank before, and it's not uncommon here that banks will just look at their debts and say, okay, we're going to write this off. Because it exposes your financial position. I think my colleague will speak more to that. So there are some banks that will say, you don't tell this person we're going to write off their debt. If they can pay back, fine, but it's not good for our financial position. And the final one for me is cooperation. I think when you cooperate, when you pull the resources and effort together, it gives you a chance to access certain funds. We see this among, take the Middle East community for example, and I say this in good faith, not like I'm hating them. I mean, the Middle East usually they're good business people in the sense they look at opportunities, they cooperate, they collaborate, and together they form joint groups, and then they're able to access funds, and before you know, they're pulling off massive things. They're building very, very big companies. What we do instead is hate each other. We compete negatively instead of cooperating. So yes, capacity, credibility, and cooperation is why we don't access funds compared to foreign businesses.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I do believe that once you have those three on your side, of course, you strong enough for business, for investors to look your way. Would you please jump on the insurance part of the question?
Okay, similar to the insurance, I have no choice, but I agree completely with everything that you said. And what I'll just say that what I see inside there is that you don't see many partnerships. So I also want to commend you for what you are doing, having a partner. Inside there, everybody wants to go it alone. And we are bigger when we are together. Amen. There are synergies you develop when you partner that can take you far, further than you can go together. On to the insurance question, we do not have a local culture of insurance. If I ask in this room now, how many people have insured their house, their homes, their properties, we will not even get maybe 5 sitting in this room that have done it. So that culture doesn't exist. So it is something we need to work on. But our insurance companies also have to come halfway, because in other countries I know that if you insure and then there is no claim, you do not bring any claim on your insurance, you get some rebates. But in Sierra you insure every year, 5 years, there is no incidents, you do not claim any insurance, you don't get anything. So also, people are not able to understand why they should insure when they do not make any claims. They see it as if they are just paying their money for nothing. because we try to encourage the people we work with to insure, to encourage them to do fire, to do theft, to do flood, because we've had a number of customers whose shops have been bombed down. Recently, a store where most of the people who sell in town pick their wares was bombed down in PZ area, and then there was a lot of losses. Sometimes we finance them to help them, but we've been talking to a few insurance companies, and they are showing signs that they are willing to work with us. What we are trying to do, there's a product called bank assurance. You are a banker before, I'm sure you know, but I'll just explain what bank assurance is. Bank assurance is basically the bank selling insurance on behalf of the insurance companies to their customers. It is a good product because apart from the fact that the insurance company will pay the bank some commission, that's what banks normally look for, money. We are there to make money. But also, the bank is able to negotiate the rates, the insurance rates downwards on behalf of their customers. So we have started doing that. We're working with STACO and the OEL, and we are also looking into credit insurance, which for many years the companies here have not been willing to do, but now they are talking to us about it. So watch this space, there will be more coming on that. But really the culture, we have to try to change that culture. Even when it comes to motor insurance, we tend to do third party only, not comprehensive, because it is expensive, so people see it as if I'm just throwing my money down the drain. But if the insurance companies are able to come with products that will give you annual rebates, if there is no claim on the insurance, it will encourage more and more people to do insurance.
That is so true. And I'm sure most of the people who are not going into insurance are held back by the fact that they don't feel it's fair enough for them to continue contributing or paying for something that they don't benefit from in any way. And talking about interest rates, I would like us to talk about the possibilities that young people, let's say college students, have for accessing finance when it comes to banks specifically, with the high interest rates and the requirements that those young people cannot meet. So what are the chances those people have?
First of all, I would like to speak to the high interest rate comments that you made. And I would say that interest rates, they are a function of the economy. Because you can't have an economy wherein the risk-free rate of the market, which is somebody calculated as government pays, is 23%, and you expect to get a loan for 5%. Economics, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work in economics. So if the economic situations are addressed, we know it is really tough in addressing them because things have not been good for many years now. Then we will see interest rates come down. That is one way. But the second way, if financial institutions are able to partner with organizations who have interventions in certain areas, we are able to bring down the interest rate that we pass on to our customers. And I mentioned WikiGo. That was a partnership wherein they were able to give us funds, not for free, but at reasonable interest rates. So we are also able to give it to our customers at less than 18%. I will not tell you the specific interest rate. I don't want you to rush to my offices. But that's another way to go. Collaborations, partnerships, wherein you are able to approach donors who can, if not give you for free, because there's fatigue also on the side of the donors. They can give you at good rates. But most MFIs borrow internationally. This will surprise you. We borrow internationally. And you get, if you want a local currency loan, you will get it at maybe 22%. Why? Because typically these investors invest in dollars. They invest in dollars, they will ask you to pay maybe 6, 7, 8% in dollars. We don't take the dollars because of the foreign exchange risk. So we say to them, give us in loans. They have to approach a hedging firm. For example, TCX, they were in town recently. So at the end of the day, if I borrow at 22% internationally, 22% local currency, definitely I have overheads. I have to pay my staff. I have to make a little margin. So these are the things that inform the rates. But also, during our microfinance conference recently, we've been reaching out to commercial banks to see how we can partner. What synergies can we get where we will not need to go to borrow internationally, but we'll borrow from local banks. But then again, microfinance is a very risky business, so the banks are also not too. But I believe we've started a dialogue, and I believe we will see good things coming out of it. But for students, like we've been saying from the beginning, the projects have to be bankable. They have to be bankable. And if the idea is good, and we're able to see them channel these good ideas into bankable businesses, particularly through the innovation of etc., it's possible we will be able to finance them. Of course, I did mention at the beginning that we are looking at working with your organization to see what we can do. But it's not easy to sit here and tell me that, oh, if students come with ideas, we'll finance it, because typically we're there to make profits. It's not our core business. But where we have good business ideas and we see responsible people with good credibility and we see a capacity to do the business, we will look at the projects.
Yeah, it does make sense, because as you said, banks are here to make profit and to be sustainable and continue being able to finance coming entrepreneurs. So I do think that the economy of what we learned this afternoon is that not only we need to work on having very strong, bankable proposals that will differentiate themselves from what we have out there in the general market, but also to try and have, let's say, savings, to try and save along the line while we are students, while we are young girls. Because what I have realized is people are saying that they don't have money, but when you see them in the market buying human hair, you would be shocked. That can start a business. But we don't want to fund ourselves. We don't want to believe in our dreams. We want other people to take the risk. So of course it does make sense for us to first be our first donors, and at the same time try to have loans from our families where we don't have those high interest rates. So I would like to just end this afternoon conversation by asking you, Mr. Hamid, to share with us, please, some of the challenges you had along the line as an entrepreneur. And let's close the discussion by those very juicy tips. Thank you.
It's quite a lot, so but I'll try to focus on the ones I can remember from my heart. I think as a person, I show as a young ambitious person, and I would say I had a very humble beginning, and I can even say my humble days are not over yet, considering where I want to go in life. I still feel like I'm at a very, very humble stage compared to the end line I seek. When I started, like every young person, I struggled to find my way in terms of where do I fit the most, where are my skills best suited. As an economist, myself, my friends, my classmates, the dream job was to work at a bank. When we left college, it was the era of the Nigerian banks coming into town. It's very nice, flashy banks, the suits, the jeeps, and everything. And one day I told my friends, there's only one way for me. I'm going to work for Zenith Bank. And behold, God answered me and said, okay, wish granted. And I would say my time at the bank was one of the toughest periods of my career, but probably the best in terms of what I learned in life. So the day I started working was the day a new MD started working as well. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure anyone who's working in the banking sector will remember her. And it was a tough ride. It was a tough ride. But what happened to me was I realized I wasn't a banker. I realized I wasn't meant to work in a theory X management space. I'll say this, and I'm beginning to change this right now, but I feel a lot of young people in this country should learn to stand up for themselves and learn to recognize your boss is pushing you to work and insulting you and disrespecting you. what I see in the banking sector here mostly is where employers feel they have the right to insult nationals and locals. They will tell you boldly, oh, you guys are this, you're that, you guys are this. We know it's hard to find a job. Look at the door, or you can walk out of the door if you want. And like personal insults, which is not okay at all. And people feel obliged to stay. They feel obliged to work because, I have a lot of people who were there quite experienced, like people who's made it in terms of they have some savings, they can go out and start their own business, they have enough experience to quit, and they'll call you, listen, you're a small boy, you have to be patient. And see, we're all here, they're insulting us, we're big men, we're taking it. Who are you don't want to take it? And one day we opened a new branch, and I went there, and as a marketer, we had to go out and just scope the area, look for new customers. And it was one of the operations guy who asked me to go out. By the time I came in, everybody was there. I was like, "Where were you? Where were you?" I'm like, "Madam, Benga asked me to go out." He said, "Benga, did you? Hey, madam, you saw me." And the girl was so scared of her. Oh, she rained insults. That day, I made up my mind. I'm like, I'm done. This is not for me. When she left, the guy came and the branch manager, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're a small boy, you can take it. Look at me, I'm a very big man. You're that woman. She will not be ashamed of me. She will insult me because of it. I had to deny it. I'm sorry." It wasn't him. I didn't blame him. I spent 2 days looking all around, and I saw scared people. I saw really scared colleagues, very experienced, brilliant, smart, some of the best people we've got in the country. But they were all scared to make the next move. Then I said to one of my close colleagues, and I said, "I'm leaving." It's like, this is me, I'm leaving. "Oh, it's your first job, what are you going to do? I mean, things are tough for you, you have your sisters to look after." I'm like, "I'm leaving." Then I found a job at an NGO. I took a pay cut of 400,000. This is like a decade ago. It was a lot of money. It wasn't
in Leon or what?
No, in Leon. 400,000 years. Oh, you wouldn't know. It was a lot of money. Just so you know, the new job I took, I was being paid 900,000 leons. So I was taking home 900,000 leons. So if you're earning a salary of 900,000, you're taking a pay cut of 400,000. That's almost half of what I was receiving. And then I came one day and handed my letter and said, "I'm resigning with immediate effect." It was the best decision I ever made in my whole life. And the lesson for me is that sometimes, and this is also what reinforces the quotes you asked me about, right? If I didn't face those challenges, if I wasn't taking off my comfort zone, I never would have taken a path that really changed my life forever. At IIC is where I learned to work with young people, where I learned to facilitate workshops, where I learned to work in development, where I learned to work for people, work for impact, work for results, and not just work for myself and career goal. So I don't know if I have time, but I feel just this one challenge for me, it's life-changing because I know a lot of young entrepreneurs will face this point where you will fail at something. You will realize that everything you believe in is a lie. Like the dream job I wanted, the life I wanted, the suits and everything. It wasn't life for me. It wasn't my environment. I wanted an environment where I can respect people and be respected. And that wasn't that banking sector for me. It was development. It was working with people. It was impacting lives and changing lives.
Yeah. So the challenges you have shared now enlighten me when it comes to the post that I stole from your Facebook. But yeah, so I see how you were seeking for, let's say, for growth, but like not refusing along the line to learn, to be frustrated, but then to grow from those frustrations and stuff. So it's really interesting indeed.
Yeah, and just a little bit of information. When I left, in less than 1 year, 15 other staffs left. So it was like a wave. So after I left, I think it was even well over 15 before she was finally
such an inspiration.
fired. So it's just believing that some things will fail, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to take a different path. It's okay to reroute, and you just believe in what you want to achieve.
So the most important aspect is learning from the mistakes you make and not just stagnating. So maybe the question and answer session will deal with the last question I have, but really because of time I cannot go with it. So we are having a question and answer session where you can ask the questions you have to these two experts. So any of the areas that we can explore, you're free to please raise them. Thank you.
So, good afternoon. Very, very interesting discussions, and I think more importantly for the young people around us here, because the theme was on SME development, and you know the big drive in Africa now is towards self-sustainability and us becoming entrepreneurs and employing instead of being reliant on corporates. So I've got 3 questions. I'll stagger it out, and I think it'll be in the interest for the audience. So the first one being, we spoke about tapping into passion, but that also links to the fund, for example, that you spoke about now, that's focusing mainly on agro. So with no disrespect to anyone, but you know, in the climate that we're in, normally when there's funding, you will have a race towards the fund that's available. And it may not necessarily be your passion wanting to be in agri, but because there's money available, you're going to go for it. Okay? Which then leads to my third question around the skills gap. So I'm from South Africa, and I was also in financial services. I worked for ABSA. And I was in public sector and investment banking, and as part of our customer value proposition in the business banking space, we had, small business, commercial, and a really, really little league of microfinancing. But the microfinance is very, very separate entities. So as part of upskilling the youth in particular, there were enterprise development hubs that were linked to the bank. And that was a free service offering from the bank to the client or to potential clients in order to upskill them across the various spheres. So be it your marketing, your compliance, your finance, etc., etc. So I'd like to know, and for the interest of the youth here, what programs are being implemented by financial services sectors in order to minimize your impairments, the write-offs that they're going to potentially take from you. Is that happening? And then we spoke about the IDT labs and such service providers. Are those pro bono programs to assist individuals develop their skills? So quite a mouthful, but I think it's just interesting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Let me take 3.
Any other? Good afternoon. My question here today is want to know how to find a trustworthy mentor. Saying is that how to have a mentor in terms of security, you having your idea that it's a success in the future, and how to access a mentor that will not go about your idea, turn it elsewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon all. To the backup from Ecobank Microfinance, we don't have agricultural banks in Sierra Leone. So how the bank is going to fund some of our projects that are dealing in agriculture, we are going to take about 2 or 3 years for them to be finished.
Thank you very much. I like the differentiating between funding and finance. And also, my question is to Hamid directly. I want you to go about more details about your criteria and when you launch that project you spoke about, and how it will benefit businesses. I'm not talking about NGOs. Thank you.
Okay, for once, Ahmed wants me to start. Okay, so your question about what financial institutions do to reduce our write-offs. Well, as MFIs, we do basic business screenings for our clients or customers. And then there are some types of financing we do. For example, like we do group loans. When we want to do a group loan, we do a training of the group. We do a training of the group, mostly women, We organize them into groups, or they organize themselves into groups and approach us. First of all, we do a basic business training for them, financial literacy basically, for them to understand how to go about doing a small business, how to start a small business, what records to need to keep, and then we also teach them on the savings culture, how they can save as a group. So before we give them a loan, they have to go through that training and they have to prove that they are a group. So we continue to visit them, we monitor them. We visit their meetings as a group and we observe them meet as a group. We encourage them to save, and after they've saved maybe 200,000, we now go on to give a loan to each of them in the group. And then the aspect of collateral, what we do, we call it solidarity group. Each member is responsible to ensure that the other pays. There is no collateral, it's just that your friend is your collateral. So we give them, to start, 1 million euros each to go do business, and then they pay back over time. So, and then we also do this in terms of entrepreneurship. There are some MFIs who have entrepreneurship schools where you go through the school, and when you prove yourself, you take an exam, of course, you prove yourself that you know what you are doing, you are entitled to a loan. Or maybe the best 5 students are entitled to a loan. We have an MFI who is also in the sandbox mechanism now at Bank of Sierra Leone, with a fintech who has an app which teaches you financial literacy, and as you go on and you answer the questions, you get to a point where it qualifies you to get a loan from a financial institution. So there are a number of different things we do. On the innovation hubs, whether they are pro bono, I'm not sure they are pro bono, but I know that they get funding to support people. But I cannot tell you that they are pro bono. I think that they try to run sustainably in the sense that they provide space for people to occupy and start their business from their locations. But of course, you have to pay for the space. But in terms of the coaching and the mentoring, you don't have to pay for that.
Can we answer the question about agricultural banks?
Okay. Yes, the question was that we do not have agricultural banks. What are the banks doing to finance agriculture? I can tell you that we finance agriculture, but we are careful in financing agriculture. Now, you must have heard about the Southern Farmers Association. I'm sure you've heard about them. We are financing them on Zig, Trend, and other things you see from Sierra Leone. So we finance them to grow the sorghum. It's unusual for a bank, but we do it. The interesting thing about me is that Amir and I, we have a kind of interesting dynamic. He grew up wanting to be a banker. I grew up deciding not to be a banker, but I end up finding myself there. That's the interesting thing. I worked in a lot of development projects, you would notice, before coming into banking. So I come with that mentality. So that's why I'm able to structure things that can support some of these areas. So we do finance agriculture and agribusiness, but it depends on what you bring to the table. And also what we try to do, we try to find a market for our customers also. So if I am taking the risk to finance you, I make sure you have a market so that you are able to pay me back.
Yeah, so I'll just speak briefly also to the fact that the innovation hubs, if they're pro bono. I think what we're going to roll out is a World Bank and government funded initiative. So obviously, as long as you make a cohort, you're going to access free services. But within that framework, we're trying to build a culture of sustainability. So we're not going to provide services ourselves directly. We're going to contract service providers, so BDS providers. The goal is that we want the cohort, the SMEs in the cohorts to appreciate the usefulness and benefits of working with service providers, so that post their time at the facility, they will have enough motivation and incentive to contract with service providers for their services, because they will witness at first hand the kind of growth they will have during that period. So that's why. So obviously we'll be paying the service provider because we don't want them and we don't expect them to do the services for free. And in that process also we want to see how we can build an ecosystem by helping some of these mostly new businesses and service providers to trial their services and then able to show results, so that over time many more people outside the cohorts can come to the services. We also have what we call a junior consultant system, where we want to look for young and sharp graduates that we can place with some of these service providers to see how they can use them as their frontline staffs. So, to the question of the tier facility, so we're proposing a launch on the 13th of July, a code change, but it's around the 13th of July. That's when we expect to get everything up and running. And our criteria will be quite simple. So what I tell you here will not be set in stone because I don't have an official document in front of me, but I'll just tell you basically what we're looking at. Firstly, we're looking at businesses that are a little bit beyond the ideation stage, meaning you have an idea, but you have tested your idea. So you are bold enough to spend your own money, your time and resources to at least have a prototype. So for example, Labano, you have a lot of prototypes already, so you have a product, it's branded, it's in the market. So we want to see that kind of demonstration. Secondly, we're going to look at the entrepreneur behind the business. It's going to be very easy for me to do mapping because I know almost all the funds entrepreneurs are accessing. So we're going to be sure that there's additionality and not duplication, so you don't get funds for the same thing from different places. We're also going to look at other specific things that will speak to the performance, your credibility, and how best you align in the sector will work. What I would say for sure is that we're eliminating any exclusionary or discriminatory conditions that we've seen in other forms, which is 5 years existence, or you have an audited report, or there's just elaborate and big things. We're going to eliminate it. I think the young man asked the question.
To just add to that, I wanted to ask the question about the availability of a website where people can
So one of the reasons why we're not launching until the 13th is because we want to have everything together. Firstly, we're going to have a website where anyone can go and access this information. But also because I know a lot of youth access information differently, we're going to have a very vibrant communication team that will be pushing some of the information via social media, because that's where young people actually access information. And we're going to benchmark some of the best facilities in the world to develop a space, a co-working space. And so we need at least a couple of months to do all of that prior to the launch. So once we launch, you have a door to knock at, you have a service to walk up to. And if I have time, somebody asked about, there's a young man who asked about finding a credible mentor. I don't think there's any silver bullet in finding a mentor, but there are a few guiding principles. So first, what do you want to achieve? It's usually best, because a mentor is different from a coach. A coach can be anyone with business expertise that can help you hold your hand and help you do what you want to do. But a mentor needs to have an aligned experience. Most times it will be someone who is already doing what you're doing, right? Maybe you're coming with a twist, but they are experienced in that area. So the risk of them stealing your idea could be less. But also sometimes you could find mentors who in fact want to just partner with you. But I would say you should keep your eyes open. Don't just look for the performance of the person in that sector. Also look for the credibility. If you know someone who has a really, really bad reputation, they're a crook, and you want them to be a mentor, you're finding trouble for yourself. So, because you're not just building your business, you're building your business culture. And you're going to learn so much of this person beyond just the basics of the business. Before you know, you're going to really copy his style. You're going to copy his management style. You're going to copy how he recruits, how he works with people. And so it's about you finding somebody you know is credible and ethical enough. And then that's the kind of person you want to make your mentor. So I would say first, try to know the person, do your research, know you're going to benefit from this person, know they're credible enough, know they're somebody you are proud to be aligned with. So that's what I'll say. And I'll say finally, in case you get it wrong, and this also points to the lesson I said I learned from working at the bank. Don't learn to always compromise your values. Sometimes it feels like you're alone. Sometimes it feels like you're the odd one. Sometimes it feels like you're jumping into a dark hole. Do it. If your heart says go, just do it. It's okay to be afraid. Sometimes you feel the fear, do it anyway if it's the right thing for you to do. So if you find a bad mentor, quit. Move on to the next person you think can be a good mentor.
Thank you so much for this amount of information that we have in the same sitting. So it's too much for us to digest if we don't break it down. And that's the reason why I'm going to invite the audience to remain seated, because after the experts will go, we have to break down what we have learned. Because some of it is enveloped into expert vocabulary. So we need to talk within ourselves, see how we better understand it in our own language and how we're going to act upon it, which is absolutely important. So Hamid landed in a very important point. It's like the fear. And fear is what's holding most of the entrepreneurs. Fear of failure. And of course, you know you're going to fail somewhere down the line. But the fear of failing, the fear of exposing yourself to the public eye, the fear of being judged, and all that holds us back when it's supposed to empower us and to invigorate us even more. So yeah, and also what I really appreciated was the learning part, being open to learning from your mentors, from people that you meet in the working place, even those who are abusive. Learning to never be the same as those people. But what is important there is having a mindset of being open to learning. Learning negative things that you know your principles will never allow you to do or to replicate, but at the same time learning good things along the line, like recruitment skills or any positive skills that you can apply in your organization or in your entrepreneurial journey. So I would like to thank the two of you so much. Hamid, I know how busy you are. You just came day before yesterday. It was a crazy day yesterday, but you tried to make it today. Thank you so much to Mr. William. Also, we know how busy bankers are, especially microfinance. Everybody's running towards you, but you tried to do it. And I'm really impressed that anytime you mention youth, people are like, I'm going to do it. If it's training, they tell you that this is my CSR, I don't need you to pay me. If it's coming and clarifying people about certain issues, most of the entrepreneurs I know jump into the occasion because they want to give back to society, and we have to commend them for that. So I would like us to give a very loud round of applause for them. Thank you so much for that, and we wish you good luck in your endeavors. Thank you so much. Thank you.